All right, welcome back, everybody. Being a parent can be very hard, and you want to make sure that your kids are safe, especially when you have to drop them off someplace because you have to go to work or school or wherever you might have to go. And we're talking about child care safety laws with legal expert, attorney David Aylor. David, how are you?
I'm doing well. Good morning.
So I can imagine that a lot of moms and dads out there, once you drop your kid off, first of all, the first day is a traumatic experience because you've spent all your time with them.
Of course.
And then you start to notice something's just not right. So what's the first thing that you suggest that parents do if they think maybe something's going on at the daycare?
Well, I think you actually start before that point. You want to start with making sure you do the research on the daycare you choose. You know, obviously people are going to do the research as far as looking at the daycare, you know, looking at the price point of what it costs to go to the daycare. But something they really should look to do is ask for some references from the daycare. Rarely do people do that because it's somewhat uncomfortable, but it's the best way to do it because you want to know other people that have had their children there or do have their children there to kind of start with the safety basis from that angle.
A lot of my friends, I find that what they do is they find a daycare that's just a well-known name.
Right.
Oh, well, it's such and such daycare. I've heard of it all the time, so I'm just going to send my kid there. Probably not that great of an idea.
Right. Well, what they're doing at that point is looking from just the general reputation. But what goes beyond that is who works there now. You know, it might be a different time, a different management, different owners, and that's where you really want to try to look real specific to what is going on at that daycare then. And then if you do have any issues that start to arise or you feel like they arise, you know, you've got to really try to do something with it quickly, because what happens a lot of times is these things go on for too long and people really have some trouble trying to figure out what to do.
Also want to make sure, and I guess this would be a question that they would need to ask for their lawyer or something like that, but is there any are there any laws or anything like that? I know that I have once before gone and picked up my goddaughter. My name was not on the list to be the person to pick her up.
Right.
I have walked up and just said, "Hi, my name's Laura. Can I get so-and-so?" And they just gave her to me.
Well, yeah, that's definitely not supposed to happen. You know, I mean, sometimes you even have issues whether one parent who usually doesn't come is not on the list.
Right.
So those are the safety precautions that usually they should have in place as far as just general policies. But also if you're having issues or you think you're having issues with your child while you're not there during the day when the child is actually being watched, first and foremost, you want to try to, you know, set a meeting up with the director of the child care facility and express those problems. A lot of these facilities around here, they don't have cameras. Some of them do, but not as many as most people go to. So, you know, once you put those issues up front, if something continues to happen, then, you know, that's when you really need to look to go in something more serious.
What's some of the paperwork that parents need to be looking for, or the questions that they need to be asking to make sure that legally these child care places or wherever you're taking your child is safe?
Right. Well, obviously, you know, you got to make sure it's an organized business. A lot of times when you have issues with these type of daycare, sometimes it'll be the in-home daycare. And there's nothing wrong with those type of facilities, but, you know, they're not going to be under such scrutiny as, you know, another business would be. So that's something you really got to look out for. People are desperate when they need child care, and unfortunately, sometimes they rush in decisions that later come back to really haunt them.
So you just want to make sure that you make sure they've got everything that they need to have.
Right, exactly. You want to make sure that they're licensed and that sort of thing, and, you know, go through that policy with them. If they're a legitimate business, they shouldn't have any problem doing that.
Also, last question that we might have, let's say, for instance, a parent always picks their child up same time every day, and they notice their child is sitting in the same place every day by themselves, not really playing with anyone else. I know that it would be very difficult to prove that something is happening to your child during the day, but what are some of the questions that maybe you should ask if your child is too young to really relay what's going on?
And unfortunately, most children are that are going to be in a daycare setting. So they might not be that they're getting bruised or they have some sort of, you know, scratches or things like that, but just from an emotional level, there's some sort of discontent. And you really need to do, as quickly as you can, meet with not only the teachers, but also the director, so the director is aware of what's going on. And if it continues from there, if you haven't ended up going to a therapist for your child, you may want to look to either change, but also look to see what is the core problem. It could be one individual, a bad seed perhaps, that works at one of the places.
There you go. Well, he's David Aylor. If you have a question that you'd like to ask him, please go to our website at abcnews4.com, and all you got to do is click on the Low Country Live tab, then click on the Ask David Aylor. You can ask your question there. David, thank you so very much for being with us. We do appreciate it. Well, it's getting heated up in the Low Country Live kitchen. We've got Chef John Icofano coming up next. Stay with us.